All right, I'd like to just start by wishing Indians luck today in their home opener. Uh, as a fellow Cleveland Knight, is that a word? Just be pulling for them. So, anybody got any questions?
So did Odell tell you that he loves you?
He did. Yeah. No, I said it to him, though, in case you are asking. Just because I was supposed to at that point, right? Started out as a joke.
Him, no, Freddie. I know you don't know him super well, and you've had some conversations. But what are you impressed with him?
Just by the conversations I've had with him, and him being here today. Just, I like the guy. Really, that's all I have to go off of right now. Is just the guy, and I like the guy. So the relationship building process starts today, and along with a bunch of other people.
What are your expectations for Odell over the next, month and a half, 6 weeks during this offseason program?
Just to continue to get better as a person, as a player, and you do that by studying film and things like that. But like I told you guys a couple weeks ago, Odell didn't know where he was going to be. He didn't know he was going to be in Cleveland up until, 3 weeks ago now. So, he's got some things to tie up, but he thought it was important enough to be here today. So he was here for his teammates and for himself and his coaches and things like that. So my hat's off to him. He told me something, a couple weeks ago, and he made it work. And he had to go through some hoops to get here, but it was important enough for him to be here.
Will he take some time away and then come back? Is that the plan?
We don't really know specifics right now, but he won't be here continually right now. But he will be back and forth. But he's got some things he's got to tie up, and we're getting all that in order now.
Did you get a chance to address the team as a whole, and if so, what have you said about the expectations from the outside world about what this team should do this upcoming season?
Well, like I said, our expectations has nothing to do with the outside world. Our expectations were set in our room, in our team room, and our expectations are going to be on how we prepare every day and approach every day, and from a business perspective, and what we want to get accomplished on each day and day out basis. The outside predictions, we're not in that business. We're going to let other people do that. We're just going to be happy with our performance and how we prepare. Like the one thing is about when you start talking about expectations, okay? So if a team's supposed to be not very good, the expectation level's low. So the first thing a coach wants to go in and say is, you got to block out the noise from outside. Well, what the hell changes if you're supposed to be good? You should still block out the noise from outside. So that's what we're going to do. Nothing, like, I know, no pun intended, but nobody else matters except for the people in the room. That's the only ones that matter, and that's the only ones that can affect anything that we do as far as winning and losing. And this is ultimately about winning and losing.
You said today's the start of a journey. Can you set a tone today, or is that overstating?
I think you can set a direction, and hopefully we did that.
This is your first time as a head coach. Are the feelings a lot different than they have been in the past for you?
I enjoy the feeling from the standpoint of I feel like, defensively, we have guys that want to get better and want to, he's got the same kind of mindset our offensive guys had last year and we'll have this year moving forward. So as a whole, in general, it's truly three units here, and you'll see that when we get on the practice field. Our special teams units are going to have just a good bit of time practicing. Meeting time. I don't know how many teams across the league gives special teams meeting times during this time of year, but I mean, hell, I always found it fascinating that coaches talk about, special teams being a big part of their deal, and then they don't have to give the special teams coordinator any time to do anything with in the off season. So that won't be the case here. But I enjoy talking to the offensive and defensive guys, if that's what you're asking.
Personally, did it feel different driving to work today? I mean, the first time as a head coach in front of everybody and kind of to your team now?
No, it didn't. I think one thing you've got to realize, and I think we've put together a lot of guys like this, that this is our team. And I truly believe that. It's our team. I'm just kind of the front man. Because if those guys in the locker room don't hold each other accountable, if our coaches don't hold their position groups accountable, and the players amongst themselves don't hold each other accountable, we're not going to have anything anyway. So at the core of everything, it's what our team is. It's what our offense is. It's what our defense is. I truly believe the letter I is a dangerous proposition when you start using it in terms of describing yourself in a team setting. So we don't do that here. It's always we, us, our. All right? So that's what it is now. And that's what it became when I got hired. And we weren't hiring anybody that didn't have that same kind of outlook on things. And we want to create that environment for our players. And whenever we do that, we will have something. Right now, we're just a bunch of good individual players. All right? Yeah, our roster looks great on paper. Whoop-de-hell. All right? But at the end of the day, we better be a good team. And you start building that during this time of the year. And then training camp's a big portion of that.
We, us, our, right? Those are all words. How do you implement that?
Excuse me? I'm sorry.
All the words that you're using, we, us, our team. How do you actually implement that, though, in the locker room and out on the field?
Again, I think it's a deep down belief that you have to have first and foremost. And then you create that environment by getting to know the people and holding each other accountable. And then if you're accountable to me and I'm accountable to you, then it becomes us. And then if all of us collectively are that, then it becomes ours. And that's kind of the approach I've always taken. And even with a position group, per se, when I was coaching quarterbacks or tight end, it was our quarterback out there. Carson may have been out there, but our room felt the joy of him succeeding. And I think you just got to form that in that way.
What does Odell bring to the Browns?
Enthusiasm, passion. The thing that I think gets misconstrued a little bit with Odell is he loves people. All right, he loves to play the game. I truly feel like he loves being around his teammates. As a coach, sometimes you look at the team as your family, but at the end of the day, we're not family. Okay, family you're related to by blood. You've got a daughter. You've got everybody at home, but there is a brotherhood, so to speak, in the locker room. And I think with a lot of good players, they want to just feel that sense of brotherhood and compassion and the passion that he brings to the field is kind of contagious,
But on the field and as a play caller yourself, what does he bring on Sundays?
Well, his skill set is, I wouldn't say it's unmatched, but it's pretty close. I mean, he's, of course, one of the best players, in the National Football League on any given Sunday. Like a lot of great players, the one thing that they always strive to be on is a good team, I think, because sometimes, team accomplishments help individual players. So, and vice versa, the individual players help team accomplishments. So when you can marry the both together, that's when you really have something. You have something special. I know this, and I keep going back just to some of the most success I've ever had as a coach. Was I was a part of the team in Arizona that went to the Super Bowl. We had some great players on that team, great Hall of Fame type players on that team. But whenever we got good, it's when everybody checked their egos at the door. Everybody started pointing the bow of the boat in the same direction. All right, and that's when we got good.
To clarify, if Odell couldn't have made it today, would you be okay with that? Did you encourage him to show up today and take care of things?
That was Odell's. This is all mandatory. This is all voluntary. I didn't encourage anything. Odell knows what's at stake. He knows what he needs to be at for, and he knows, The media, and don't take offense to this, the media is never going to form a line in the sand between me and a player or the player and his teammates. This is strictly voluntary, all right? And if we wanted to critique people for not coming, then we should make it mandatory as a league. It's not mandatory. So that's why, but as far as like, would I hold a grudge if he's not going to come? No, I wouldn't. There's never going to be a line of drawn in the sand from the media in any instance with any player of mine.
A lot of coaches whose definition of voluntary is mandatory, though.
Yeah, well, who are you saying they're right and I'm wrong? Because, well, I'm saying they were breaking the rules, and well, they're not here. So
A lot of coaches have said just what you did about special teams at this point of the year, but then when camp starts and that time is so compressed,
yeah.
sometimes that gets sacrificed. So how are you going to?
Special teams will never. Have I ever lied to you?
No, you have.
All right. So special teams will never be sacrificed here. All right. Meetings, on the field work, everything.
Freddie, as these players get to know you more and more, what do you want them to think of you? How do you want your players to view you and your attributes and qualities as a head coach?
I want them to view me with, I gave them something. All right. I gave them either something personally or professionally that they can carry with them for the rest of their life. All right. I want them to know that I've given everything I have for them. All right. And our staff has given them everything that they've got. And if we can do that and we can form that trust, then they will trust us, we will trust them, and we will be moving in the same direction, and everybody will be happy. It's not about the end result. It truly isn't. It's about doing the best we can every day, and for them to know that I gave them the best that I could give them today, tomorrow, the next day. And the same thing for our staff, that they've given them the best that they could every day. Because that's all we're going to ask in return of them, is just their best. And if they're not good enough, that's fine. But if we get their best, I think it will end. And collectively, it can't just be pick and choose when they want to give us their best. It's every day. This is an everyday proposition between coach and player, and that's the only way I know.
Obviously, it's voluntary, like we talked about, but there's a report that Emmanuel Agba didn't show because he anticipates being traded soon. Has Agba or his agent communicated that with the Browns?
Agba didn't show, and I'd rather just talk about the guys that are here. I don't know. I'm sure he's got his reasons. I'm not sure.
Just in general, at this stage of Odell's career, he's entering his 6th season, but he's with a new team, and you're planning new things. How important, when he gets here, is the off-season program to him?
Well, I think with all good players, the off-season program's tremendously important. Not just from a knowledge standpoint, but again, you start forming relationships with people. All right, you start building relationships with your teammates, with your coaches. And again, once those relationships are built, all right, you can ask the player and the player can ask the coach difficult and have difficult conversations. And at that point is whenever you can make advancements the most. It's no different than there's going to be adversity at some point. So I need to feel good with the guys in our room when that adversity hits. Our staff needs to feel good about the rest of our coaches when adversity hits. Players need to feel good about the guy lined up to his left and to his right, that these guys are going to come out of this thing with me because adversity is going to hit. And at that point, we will find out what kind of team we have. It's not going to be initially. It's not going to be in training camp. It's not going to be in, second week of the season. I don't know when it's going to hit. But when it does, you'll find out what kind of team you have, and not until then.
Freddie, how about Baker Mayfield? What kind of a mindset did he show back up in here? And did you guys have any kind of an exchange that you can share with us about how he feels about it?
Was Baker here today? Was it? I'm just kidding, Mary Kay. Same. I mean, he's been chomping at the bit to get back, and you guys was wondering what I told him earlier about getting away from the game. The good thing about getting away from the game is you kind of have a renewed eagerness to get back when you do that, and I think he falls into that. I mean, we hit the ground running today with him, and see where he's at.
You tell Odell that you loved him when you saw him today walk in the building. Did you actually get to say those words?
I did. Gave him a hug too. He said he loved me. It's like a love story. I mean, he's no. I mean, I was being facetious when I said that last week, but you really try to I don't know. I may be different than other people, but I really do try to. I think these are some of the length of time that a player has to play this game is so small. All right. And at the end of the day, when they're 30, 35 years old, and this game is over, they've got to have something that will carry them on for the rest of their life. And it's the relationships you form. I guarantee you ask any retired player, what do they miss? It's not catching passes. It's not throwing passes. It's the locker room. And the better you can make the locker room. Now, it doesn't have to be a kumbaya session, all right? I'm not talking about that. But it has to be with people that you trust and respect. And you become loyal to them, all right? So when you miss that after retirement, that's what you're going to miss. And that's what we're trying to create here. Because the quicker that happens, the better off we're all going to be.
You're talking a lot about pulling this team together and those relationships, and you said it's not about the names on a sheet of paper, right?
Right.
However, when you do look at this roster and you look at that sheet of paper and you just look at the individual players,
Right.
what do you think?
I think we're talented. Just like Coach Harbaugh said, we're talented. There's a lot of talent in this league. But you can go down through all the free agents we signed, and I probably shouldn't say this, but just see how many playoff games they've won. So it takes more than individuals. I know that for a fact. I know. Can I make a comment on another player in the league that I was with at some point? All right, just getting the rules. See, like how I follow rules? Ask Larry how many playoff games he won before 2008. All right? It's when they decided they wanted to become a team. This is the ultimate team game. I know that sounds like a cliche, but it truly is. You see Hall of Famers all the time that never won a playoff game. So it's about the team. Make no mistake about that.
Hey, Coach. I'm sorry, not Coach. But does it make it easier or harder when you get an Odell Beckham?
Hey, let me tell you now. Show me a good player, and I'll show you a good coach. That's all I'd say about that. The better players you have, the better coach you can be. But I know this, before you want to do anything, accomplishing anything with the goals that are set forth, you need a team and not just the individuals. And I told him this morning, well, I'm not even going to tell you what I told him. So, okay.
One thing that you can share with us in terms of your conversations that you've had with Odell that you wouldn't mind the fans knowing about. What do you say to him? What have you discussed?
About the passion that the fans have here. The passion that I think he will match their passion. And he's really going to like it. He's going to love it. And he looks good in orange and brown.
There's a role for Duke on your team. Is he here today? Did you talk to him about?
Duke was not here today. No. I don't know. You'd have to ask Duke that. I'm not speaking for Duke. Duke chose not to be here, and that's his. He's got that ability to decide that. So it's all voluntary.
So when you met, I guess you probably met Kareem before this, but face to face, what are your impressions of Kareem Hunt?
Kareem is continuing to work to be a better person, like he did when we started this journey with him. 2 months ago now, or a month ago. I don't even know how long it's been, but he's the same guy from the standpoint of he's an easy, nice kid. He really wants to do good, and he's been showing that. He was just out downtown. I don't know where he was downtown the other day, doing some charity work downtown. He really wants to make an impact. Nothing good can ever come out of what happened with Kareem. but there's points that he can get to may make a difference in other people's lives. And I think he really wants to do that. He's trying, and we're supporting him in every way we can.
You guys are trying to help him get to those points, obviously, but how important would it be in your effort if he's able to stay with the team for part of the suspension? Roger Goodell said he's open to that, but he has to see how things go.
Well, it's very clear that, I feel like I can support Kareem better when he's with me, all right? And our organization can support Kareem a hell of a lot better when he's with us than when he's not with us. So I think that's very critical, But again, Kareem's been, he's continuing to improve every day with of being a better person. Because again, that's what he's going to have in 30 years. It's just going to be him. There's not going to be any more footballs.
Good? Thank you.
All right. Appreciate it, guys.